So, Eternal Return has officially got out of early access and is now a complete game. You download the game, which is free on Steam by the way, and among all the characters you see before you, you pick the astrologist with a big crystal ball. Yes, I know the correct word is astrologer, but astrologist sounds cooler, okay? But now that you pledge your undying loyalty to Adina, you still need to figure out how to play her. Now I know what you're thinking. You boot up practice mode, load into the map, and notice this funky looking bar of various pictures and think, oh man, this character's complicated. I'm gonna stop you right there. Adina is not as complicated as you think she is, and I'll get to the rougher details further in the video. But one last disclaimer before we actually get to the guide. I am not an expert gamer. I play this game casually and I do not know how everything works in this game, and especially since 1.0 kind of fixed and changed a lot of things, which by extension means I don't know how to optimally play Adina neither. There are definitely better Adinas out there and they can absolutely destroy me in a future reading contest. Anyway, I've stalled enough. It's time for me to try and tell you how to play Adina. Let's start off by quickly going through her stats and weapons. Adina's stats are actually quite general to the rest of the cast, nothing too low or unreasonably high. And ever since the launch of ERBS 1.0, weapon mastery has been extremely generalized as well. The way you level up mastery is still the same as I explained in my Martina guide, but this time your character's mastery levels up 2 stats: attack speed, and either basic attack amp or skill amp. In Adina's case, her weapon is Arcana, and her mastery levels up skill amp. For the sake of trying to keep a stable enough pace, I'll explain what skill amp is later in the guide. For now, let's finally dig into the meat of the video and talk about her skills. Adina's passive simply explains how the new bar below your health works. Adina starts with 5 celestial signs consisting of suns, moons, and stars. Every time Adina casts any of her basic skills, she uses up the second sign to the left. Ignore the sign that's separated from the rest, we'll get to that later. The sign that was used will alter the properties of the skill she casted. The difference between the signs will be explained when we get to the skills in question. Now this is probably the part where most people would go, this takes too much brain power, man, I'll just go play Yuki. Now hold on there, partner. The signs are stupid easy to understand. Hell, I even got a cheat sheet for you. Sun equals damage, moon equals stun, and star speeds up whatever you cast while also applying buffs. Eventually, once you cast enough skills, you'll run out of signs. When you do, Adina starts stargazing and slowly refills her signs. In that process, you can't cast any skills and you move a lot faster. This state basically helps you run away and look at what you got before heading back into the fight, raining hell upon your enemies. Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about her actual skills and how the signs affect them. Starting with her Q. Adina's Q lets you shoot a ball towards wherever you're aiming, dealing damage to whoever got hit. Sun Q will make it deal a lot more damage and pass through enemies. Moon Q will stun the first person hit but not pass through enemies. And Star Q will pass through enemies and leave a trail behind. When you or your allies are inside the trail, your movement speed increases. Her W spawns a triangle on the floor that hits and slows whoever's standing on top of it. Just like earlier, Sun will make it hurt more, and Moon will stun whoever got hit. However, Star W won't actually do anything different to your enemies. Instead, it gives a temporary shield to any of your allies who also got hit by it. Adina's E is a point and click skill. You can target it at your enemies, your friends, even on yourself. The initial hit deals damage and then followed up with whatever sign you slapped on top of their head. Though be mindful that the second hit can be avoided by just moving. Once again, Sun hurt, Moon stun, and yet again, Star E does more to your teammates than it does your enemies. Instead of shields, you heal your teammates, including yourself. Her D, or Arcana's weapon skill, spawns 3 balls around Adina which will fire off to the nearest target, dealing damage. Apparently, it also deals more damage towards animals. Her R, or ultimate, is more of a passive than a skill. Hell, when you load into a match, you'll see that you'll have her R unlocked and ready to use from the start. Which means it's time to finally bring up this loose sign that's all the way to the left. This leftmost sign is stocked, which means that no matter whatever or however many times you cast skills, this stocked sign will never be used, and stays there even when Adina stargazes. Pressing R will make the stocked sign and the second sign swap places. What you're doing is basically pocketing a sign so you can use it later. Think of it like Tetris. You get a straight line and decide to keep it in your stock until you find the perfect hole to dump it in. Why would you want to keep a sign for later, you ask? That's where the rest of her ult comes to play. Whenever you get the second and third sign to be the same one, 2 suns, 2 moons, or 2 stars, one of your skills becomes really good. And casting said skill will use up both the signs at the same time. Double Sun enhances your Q. It makes the ball you shoot a lot bigger and it deals a ton of damage to whoever got in its way, alongside some extra damage over time afterwards. Double Moon enhances your W. The triangle will hit twice, the first one stuns while the second one slows. And lastly, Double Star enhances your E. Once the little projectile hits the floor, it leaves behind a circle that constantly heals you and your allies over time, both in HP and SP. One extra little detail about the enhanced skills is that they don't share a cooldown with the basic skill. So you can shoot out a Q of whatever and then enhance it with the two suns and be able to cast Q again. The downside is that when you cast any of these enhanced skills, you won't be able to cast them again until Adina stargazes, which means that you will have to expend all of your signs to get a refill before you can do it all again. And I believe that's all of her skills, roughly explained. Now that I did my best to explain what our lady here can do, let's talk about playing her in a real match. So now that we've reached the point where I'd usually talk about build plans, let me explain skill amp. Since this is also not exactly my expertise, I went and asked Jinx to help me understand skill amp a bit better. So, let's see what they had to say.
Think of skill amp like VP. It means your skills hurt more, and the bigger the number, the more you hurt.
Thanks, Jinx. Jokes aside, she is right. Skill amp is a stat that, like the name suggests, amplifies your skills so they are more powerful. To draw a comparison to League of Legends, attack power is similar to League's attack damage, while skill amp is similar to League's attack power. And just like in League, some characters perform better with one instead of the other. Anyway, back to ERBS. Adina is a skill amp character, which means all of your damage is gonna come from your skills. I'm gonna be running this build, which, to be honest, I have no idea if it's any good. Once you load in and get your build sorted, time for you to bunch up with your friends and look for prey to harass. And once you finally get into that fight, absolutely unload your entire kit into them. Now that may sound a bit barbaric or downright unnecessary. Adina thrives off of always refreshing her signs so that she can keep making use of her double sign thing, which I'll refer to as her ult from this point on. That and Adina's damage, whenever she uses all of her skills at once, is nothing to scoff at. Especially if she shot a flare at whoever she deemed worthy enough to eat it. Granted, there's obviously a bit of more nuance to this, other than how I'm telling you to basically throw shit at a wall until something sticks. What if your team is on the back foot and decide to retreat? You could favor the moon skills to slow and outright stop your pursuers in their track, or you can also use it offensively, keeping them stuck on the spot so that way your teammates can just absolutely destroy them themselves. What if it's the enemy who's trying to run away, or the fight is about to end with an uncertain winner as both fighters are running low on health? Drop a shield or just straight up heal your friends so they can breathe easier and go in harder for the kill. Or you could just kill them yourself with the power of the sun! In short, look at the battlefield that you find yourself in and ask, what could help my team out right now? And react accordingly. Adina is a pretty versatile character who can do a lot of things. She can play support with her shields and CC, but she is also very capable of dealing damage herself. So in the end, as long as you're letting those signs fly, you'll be unstoppable. You know, I can see why people like the stars so much. They are quite pretty to look at. It kind of looks like something. I wish I knew what.